Hi everybody, my name is Dee Burks and today we're going to be doing a tell-all Q&A. Coming up next. So a day or two ago I posted on the community page and asked for questions so we could do basically my first Q&A. I've had my YouTube channel for about a year and so I figured it was time. So we're going to get into some down and dirty questions in a few minutes. But first, a quick channel update. One of the big things that you all will be noticing and that will be happening this month is I am doing a full remodel of my studio. Right now I have just one little space that I use to film. And I want more control of the lighting. I want more areas that I could film in so there's a little bit more visual interest. And so I'm going to be scraping popcorn ceilings and painting and putting in new flooring and doing several things that really enhance the studio. I'm also going to be recording some classes on writing, on art. So I really needed a better space. So that's what I'm going to be doing this month. So I'm going to record a number of videos so I will be able to do that reno and still have videos to post. Another update for the channel is I'm going to be switching upload days. For the last year and definitely the last 6 months, I've uploaded on Tuesdays. And a lot of people have come to expect that Tuesday video. And so next week I'll be uploading a Tuesday video. And then I'll also upload a Thursday video. And starting at that point, I'll upload videos every Thursday. And here's why. YouTube recently had a little change in their algorithm where if your video doesn't get watched by your subscribers a lot during the first 48 hours, they basically kill the video. They don't show it to people who might be interested if it's not watched a lot that first 48 hours. Well, a lot of the people who watch my channel and who are subscribers to my channel actually watch my videos on the weekend. That's when they have the time to do it. And so what happens is because I upload Tuesday, there's a burst of activity and then a little dip. Well, now YouTube isn't even showing it to those subscribers, which is crazy. But there you go. So I'm going to start uploading on Thursday so I can catch that wave and more of you will actually see the videos when they do post. So that is one change, and that's just because of the changes YouTube's made to the algorithm. Also, I'd like to ask you if there's anything you want to see as far as new videos, be sure and drop it in the comments. I do read your comments. So be sure and drop it in there and let me know if there's anything you want to see. I'm going to be posting a video of me remodeling the studio. I am going to be posting a video of growing greens. Several of you have asked for that. It takes a little while to grow different sets of greens, so I'm currently filming that while they're growing. So I will be posting that. But if there's something else you want to see, hey, post it in the comments and I'll get to that. Now let's get to the questions. KH asked the question, hey, are you married? What about children? So let me just go over that real quick. Currently, I am not married. I was married twice for a total of almost 30 years. So they were long marriages. The past few years, I have been single. Now, I was single for a period of time in between marriages, but I had 3 little kids at that time. And those of you who are single parents, that's not the same as being completely single because I was still raising kids. I had a house full of kids. So this is the first time in my life I've been completely single. And I have to say, I am enjoying it immensely. I really love being single, going where I want to go, doing what I want to do. My house is my own, my time is my own, and I have really enjoyed that. That doesn't mean that I would not consider a relationship at some point. It's just I'm really focused on my YouTube channel and creating my own retirement, and so it's really just not an important thing right now. It may be at some point, but right now it's not. So I'm just really, really enjoying the single over 50 life. I have 3 children. They're all in their 30s. They're all professionals. One is a nurse. One is a finance person for a home improvement company. And one is a social worker. 2 are married. One of my kids has my two grandchildren. So I have kids and grandkids. And all of those kids are from my first marriage. So, you know, they're all a little bit older. I also have 2 siblings. I have an older sister who's a CPA, CFO of a oil company. I have a younger brother who is a first assistant, a surgical first assistant. He and his wife both are. And those are my only 2 siblings. My parents are still alive. They are in their 70s. They just both turned 77. And they are doing well. So that's pretty much the scoop on the personal side. Okay, the next question is from The Tidy Life. And she asked what the inspiration was behind my channel. I wanted to start a YouTube channel for a long time. But I just never could find the right subject matter. It just didn't feel like the right time. It just didn't happen. Bottom line, it didn't happen. But I've thought about it kind of in the back of my head since probably 2009, 2010. But it just wasn't the right time. Well, what really kicked off the idea for this channel, and this channel is really about my life, but what kicked off the idea for it was I was at the point being over 50, having no retirement, and guess what? Retirement's a-coming. So I wanted to create a way to rescue my own retirement. And I thought a YouTube channel was a great way to track my progress. I also felt like there were a lot of people like me. There were people like me who suffered initial financial devastation in the dot-com bubble, 2000. They got hit as entrepreneurs in the 2009 recession. That recession was so devastating to people my age and even people a little older who were having to pull out their retirement just to survive. A lot of us did that and had nothing, and then spent the next several years, as I did, paying off debt. Well, now here we are over 50, and what are we going to do about retirement? And so that was the whole idea of the channel, was to track my own progress, but then also maybe help other people who were figuring out the finances of retirement, also figuring out the transition in lifestyle between a working life and a retired life, whether that's semi-retired, fully retired, or whatever. So that was really the inspiration, and it's turned out that a lot of people are in this boat. So I'm really grateful that they're following along on the journey. So thank you for that question. Cleaning Therapy asked the question, what job did I have before I retired? And I still consider myself semi-retired because obviously I work. I do a YouTube channel and do other things, but I'm semi-retired. And the job I had prior to making that choice was I was an HR director at a hospital. When I first got my degree, I had been a stay-at-home mom for 10 years. And I went to college at that point and got my undergraduate degree. And my first internship, really, out of college was working for a Fortune 100 company in human resources. It turns out I really liked employee benefits. So from there, I went to a financial company and I became a qualified fund specialist. And that is dealing with 401ks, 403bs, SEPs, IRAs. Roth IRAs had just become a thing. This was in the late 90s. Roth IRAs had just become a thing. So I did a lot of those. And I also worked with another person at that financial company who was an estate planner. And so I really got a great education in, you know, all sorts of trust, charitable remainder trusts, revocable trust, non-revocable trust, I mean, you name it. And even though a lot of that's changed, it gave me a really good basic understanding of all these financial concepts, which was huge and has been huge for me. After being in the financial company for a while, I bought a small magazine and I got into publishing. And it started with creating my own magazines. I had my own advertising agency. I learned to do layout and writing. That's where I really started with nonfiction writing. Prior to that, I'd only dabbled in fiction. And I hadn't really published anything in fiction. And so I was just kind of dabbling. And when I bought the magazine, that really launched me into the nonfiction area. And I got a crash course in writing nonfiction, and it was a fabulous experience. But I sold that magazine shortly before 9/11, and let me tell you, in the magazine and advertising world, that event shut down spending on marketing for almost a year. And so a lot of those publications went under. So I'm really glad I sold that when I did. But I really wanted to go back and get my master's degree. And so I took relatively low-level jobs that had a lot of flexibility. Well, one of them was at a bank, a financial company, and allowed me to get that master's degree. And while I was getting my degree, I was also starting to ghostwrite in the nonfiction area. I was starting to actually write full books. And it wasn't long until that income eclipsed what I was making working part-time and working at these small jobs. So I switched over and started doing that full-time. I had a book publishing company. We had a whole group of ghostwriters eventually, and that became extremely lucrative until the recession of 2008, 2009. It quickly went south. And as an entrepreneur, one of the best lessons I learned from having the magazine was having very low overhead. And honestly, I think that's the only thing that saved the business, was having very low overhead, working from home, being able to keep those expenses low. But I still had a lot of debt I had to pay off. It wiped out what little retirement I had. It wiped out a lot of resources. And I spent almost 10 years paying that debt off. And during that time, about 2015, I decided to get back into the corporate world, back into human resources. But I got into human resources in the training area. I went to work for a municipality, and I was the training director. While I had the publishing company, we'd had author schools, both in the U.S. and internationally. They were 3-day schools where we taught authors media and marketing, how to get their books out there, how to do press releases, how to interview. It was a lot of media training is what it was. And so I leveraged that into becoming a training coordinator and teaching all different sorts of training for a large municipality. And then, of course, eventually I moved up to HR director at the hospital. So that was my last corporate job. And I'm sure, like a lot of people, when you look back at your work life, it can seem like this hodgepodge of different things. But actually, every bit of experience I have, and probably every bit of experience you have, has a function. It creates a knowledge base in your life that you could then use to leverage down the road. And everything that I have learned, from having a magazine to advertising, media, marketing, writing books, working in human resources and understanding human psychology, has turned into this YouTube channel and is really allowing me to have a platform to create something that's very useful. And the next question, or I should say questions, because she had several questions, but Brooke 127 asked if I could do more on writing fiction and nonfiction. And yes, I will do more on those. I'm also going to be doing Skillshare classes as well as teachable classes. I used to teach writing on a collegiate level, and those were full semester classes. And so there's a lot of content there that not everyone who watches this channel would be interested in. And so I'm going to try and create platforms where those who are interested in that can go get that information. But I'll also, of course, still mention it on this channel. It's just that I want to do some more in-depth stuff with that. Brooke also asks about learning more about streams of passive income. And I really want to be clear on passive income. I just feel like that phrase is so abused because people get the idea that it's truly passive, that there's not anything you have to do once you get it set up, and that's not true. In my opinion, there's no such thing as truly passive income. There is income that requires little input from you, but it does require some kind of input. If you set up a rental property, you still have to maintain that. You have to pay taxes. You have to check on renters. Even if you hire a management company, you have to be involved with that management. So there is some effort. If you have a YouTube channel and you learn everything you need to know to record the videos and edit and do all of those things, even though down the road that gets easier and faster, it still requires effort. You can't just upload a set of videos and then never upload again. That's not how it works. You have to continually upload. The same is true of writing. The writing you do today, yes, can continue to earn you money, but you've got to continue to produce writing. So there is no such thing as truly passive income. There are all kinds of income where you set something up, like a class, let's say, on Teachable, and you continue to earn money from that class, but you still have to market it. You still have to tweak it. You still have to respond to people taking that class. So it's not truly passive. However, I will be talking more and more about these various ways of earning money that require little amounts of input once you get them set up. So I just wanted to be really clear about the idea of passive income so no one's confused. One interesting question that Brooke had was about moving to a different state with very different weather when you're by yourself. I moved to this state completely by myself. My dad helped me drive out, and thank God he lifted boxes and stuff. but that's it. No one that I'm related to or knew lived here. I knew no one when I moved here, and my closest family is anywhere from 2 hours and 45 minutes to 3 hours away. So no one lives close. I did this completely by myself. One of the main reasons I did it was for the weather. Where I lived in Texas, which is Amarillo, the weather, man, it can get hot. And I hated the heat. It just got to be too much in the summer. I just was miserable. And I didn't want to live somewhere where I was miserable. Amarillo also was about to experience tremendous growth. I didn't realize how tremendous at that time when I moved, but boy, in the few years that I've been away, it's become a large city where it was just a big town. And, I didn't want to be somewhere where, when it rained, all I smelled was asphalt or cars, or there was noise all the time and sirens. And I just wanted to be outside the city, and I wanted to be somewhere cooler. I happened to move to elevation. Amarillo has an elevation of about 3,000 feet above sea level, even though it's very flat. It's up on the Capra. And where I moved to, I currently live at about 6,300 feet, which is at elevation. It's kind of in the foothills of the mountains. And so the weather, while temperature-wise, there's only about 10 degrees difference in the summer and winter both, it doesn't get near as cold because the wind chill isn't as bad. Where I lived before, the wind blew constantly. Oh, in the summer, it blew hot, hot air. In the winter, cold, cold air. It doesn't do that as bad. The wind is only bad usually during the spring where I live. And the rain patterns are different. If you have a garden or anything, you need to investigate those things before you move because the differences can be dramatic, just state to state or area to area. If you are moving somewhere that is very rainy versus where you are now, very overcast, cloudy, like for example, if I were to move to the Northwest, I had an aunt that used to live in Washington State on Whidbey Island. And I went up there for a summer as a kid. And one of the things that really got me, even as a kid, was the lack of sun. Where I live, and of course where I lived in Texas, most days are sunny. It's rare you have day after day after day that's overcast. You might have 1 or 2 days, and then that's it. And so that's a big difference because that does have an effect on your emotional well-being. Some people love it, some people don't. And I'm one of those people that I don't like overcast all the time. I mean, if you don't like heat and humidity, should you really move to Florida? Probably not. You probably shouldn't move to South Texas either. If those aren't your thing. But if you do like heat and humidity, those are perfect. So it depends on the person. But I would say go visit. Go visit a lot before you make a move by yourself to one of these places. I didn't want this video to be horrifically long, so I'm going to cut off the questions there. But if you have more questions, let me know. Put them down in the comments, and I'll do another Q&A if enough questions come in that are interesting. But thanks so much for asking the questions, and if you've enjoyed this video, please click subscribe, and I'll see you next time.